Am I the a-hole for outing my ex as gay to get his mother off my back? It's a long and sucky story. But my 25 female soon-to-be ex 28 male is gay and hid that from me. I found out because I caught him cheating, and he as much as admitted that he knew he wasn't attracted to me that way, but he wanted kids and a normal life. I don't care that he's gay, but I will never forgive him for leading me on so he could use me to have kids. So it's over. End of story. The problem is that his family are fundamentalist nutjobs except for a few members, and his mother is the interfering mother-in-law from hell. Not being related to her anymore is another plus to leaving. His family doesn't believe in divorce, so under the guise of picking up some paperwork and other items I had found that were my ex's, she courted me about how I'm being childish, and that marriage is about commitment, forgiveness, and working through problems, etc. It became apparent that my ex didn't tell his family that he cheated. He told his mom that I was divorcing him because we weren't being intimate often enough for me. I tried to be patient and explained that he had cheated, and that's why. I wasn't going to go into greater detail because I know how his parents are, and it's none of their business. Mother-in-law's advice? I kid you not, was that men are just that way. And if I wanted to have intimacy more and for him not to stray, that I should make myself more attractive to my husband and be a better wife. I lost the plot completely. It had been a sad and hard day already, and that was the last straw. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I told her that the only thing that would make me more attractive to my ex would be a sex change operation, and that I hoped he and his boyfriend adopted her some grandchildren, so she could finally shut the hell up about it. Not my finest moment, but she just hit the worst and rawest nerve she could have, and I exploded. It's evidently turned into a huge family drama. He's probably going to be disowned, and my ex called sobbing that I've ruined his life out of spite. I don't really know how to feel about it. I do feel bad for him that his parents are such awful people, and there were just no good outcomes for him. But I also feel like he made his own bed here too. Edit. A couple things from comments. 1. There is almost no chance of violence. His family are fundies, but not violent ones. They're more of the Mormon shunning type. One of his cousins came out and left the church, and after the initial protests, they all just stopped talking to him, and basically treated him as if he were dead until he was ready to repent or whatever. They're passive-aggressive, repressed, and weird as all get out, but the chances of anyone physically hurting him are extremely low. He's not financially dependent on them and has a more than decent job, so he can support himself easily if they kick him out. 2. He's known he was gay since before he met me, so this wasn't a new discovery or admission to himself. He has a boyfriend that he's been dating since 6 months before we were married. I went through his computer after catching them in the act and kicking him out, and found messenger logs and other evidence going back to before he started dating me. He literally set this up so he could have the nice Mormon family to surface to keep his family happy. That's it. Never loved me at all. I was just the first girl to express a sustained interest. Now for the top comments. Probably unpopular opinion, but not a-hole. He got pushed into a corner and blamed for the demise of their relationship, which was ultimately because of his dishonesty. You didn't do it maliciously. Also, he wasted years of your life for selfish reasons, and I personally could never forgive that. Opie was being constantly harassed, blamed, and basically defamed because her ex blamed her for everything. It wasn't malicious to out him, and he should have taken more accountability for his role in all this. The fact he plainly stated that he only married her to have a kid is beyond disturbing. It automatically makes him the a-hole, no question asked. You do not dehumanize a person and treat them as a breeding animal for your own purposes because of your hidden sexuality. Inexcusable. I think this is where I am. All he had to do was tell his family it wasn't working and they made their decision. Instead, he let them drag her to save himself. I think I agree too. This is one of those situations where I could imagine kinder ways for the OP to have handled the situation, like warning her ex in no uncertain terms to get his family off her back before telling them the truth. And even that is assuming he wouldn't just preemptively make up worse lies about her. But in the real world, I can't really fault her for just defending herself in the moment. It sucks that his family is intolerant, but that's not the OP's fault. It is also not her fault that she was in a position to feel like she had to defend herself. Her ex put her in that spot by trying to save face at her expense. Not a hole. Edited to add, a more controversial take, you could also consider the OP outing her ex as a huge favor to his next would-be incubator. It is a kind and greater good thing to try not to out a person as it can be physically dangerous, but he also hasn't really earned any kindness from you. He is the a-hole that A. cheated, and then B, lied about the reason why to his parents, leading to his mom harassing you. And is also the a-hole that was planning on essentially tricking you into a lifelong commitment, while he likely would have been cheating the whole time had he not gotten caught now. So yeah, you're not the a-hole. Yeah, he's been cheating on me for the entirety of our relationship. It has a boyfriend he's been with longer than we'd been married. He literally intended to use me for kids and to keep his parents off his tail. And he made me feel like I was the reason we were having bedroom issues in the marriage, when it was him the entire time. See, that's really messed up and kind of emotionally abusive. And I have sympathy for people born into crappy families like that hinder their ability to live out their lives how they want. But he also just sounds like a trashy person regardless. He could have been honest with his parents and taken full accountability saying he cheated, living out with who. Then his mom might not have been harassing you. And people saying you ruined his life over a temporary situation? He would have taken up your whole life with a fake marriage and children, while cheating and manipulating you into thinking there was something wrong with you had he not gotten caught. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my ex's child support? This actually happened last night, but it has been bugging me since it happened. I feel like the a-hole, but I also don't. Long story short, I am separated from my soon-to-be ex-husband. We were together for 10 years, married for 6. We have been separated for about 2 months after it came to light that he was cheating on me with a 19-year-old and broke his 4-year sobriety. We have 2 small children, a 5-year-old and an 11-month-old. I also have an 11-year-old stepdaughter. My ex said his ex-wife's marriage was annulled before I ever came into the picture. For the entire time I was with my husband, he paid $900 a month in child support, sometimes even more. When my oldest was 2 weeks old, he gave his ex $3,000 because she was several months behind on rent and was facing eviction. With my stepdaughter, it was always on us to get her new school clothes, supplies, shoes, etc. because her mother would just forget. Now with my husband just up and abandoning us, it has put me in a financial bind. I am on a fixed income/student stipend. I'd only receive $1,300 a month. I have filed for child support through my state, but who knows when I'll begin receiving it. Last night, out of the blue, his ex messaged me. Apparently, when my husband abandoned us, he stopped paying his child support too. He has not paid for November, nor will probably pay for December either. His ex asked me to pay his back and current child support. She and her new partner have 1 child already, and she is expecting again. She told me how they were counting on that money to catch up on bills/take care of Christmas. I told her no, there is no way I can do that. I have my own 2 children to care for. I am barely surviving as it is. While my ex is still paying the mortgage, I am responsible for utilities and such. I can't help he has decided to not pay child support. She called me selfish, and a-hole and accused me of not caring about my stepdaughter, then threatened legal action to make me pay. At that point, I rolled my eyes and stopped responding. Part of me feels bad that I can't help her, because I know my stepdaughter is the one who will suffer. But part of me is like, well, tough luck, because both she and her partner work full-time. I'm a full-time student/stay-at-home mom, who was thrust into single motherhood by my ex having his midlife crisis and just screwing off. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, and do not pay. I understand it's an awful situation and you obviously care for your stepdaughter, but you can't provide for a child that is not your responsibility at the expense of your own children's well-being. Your husband's ex is trying to play on your emotions to manipulate you into making a decision that will put your little ones at risk for not being provided for. Don't fall for it. I can't. It just isn't happening. I can't even celebrate Christmas with my kids because every penny must be accounted for and I have bills to pay. I know she's trying to manipulate me, but it isn't happening. Paying child support is your soon-to-be ex-husband's responsibility, not yours. Block his ex so she can't contact you again. Not a a-hole. That child is not your responsibility. She needs to go after him for not paying the child support, not you. She can't go through the courts for that. That's the thing. If they need the money that bad, I would think she would use her lawyer or what have you to get her money. When my husband left, I applied for government assistance and had to provide his name and details to my caseworker, who did my SNAP/Medicaid interview. Legally, I would think it would be in her best interest to do what she can to get the child support she is owed for my stepdaughter. I cannot help he has decided not to pay. It sucks. I hate it. I'm struggling as it is to make sure my kids are taken care of. I can't take on this responsibility either. Not today, home. You have your own children to support right now. His child with his ex is his responsibility alone. However, it may be best for you to contact legal support and ensure you have no legal obligation due to being married, just to cover your bases. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my brother's wife a neglectful, financially irresponsible wife? My female 32 brother male 36 had a serious accident in his truck 4 years ago, resulting in him becoming disabled and wheelchair-bound. My sister-in-law, his wife, used to be a stay-at-home wife. She is currently handling his care and are essentially living off his social security benefits payments, which admittedly isn't a lot, but my parents pay for the house's mortgage, so there's enough money to get them by. My sister-in-law and I have never really gotten along, but we stay civil. However, my biggest argument with her happened days ago, when she told us she was going to pursue her old job again, to be able to earn money. My parents and I were confused. We asked how she is going to go back to work when she has my disabled brother to care for. She told us she is going to hire a carer to handle all my brother's needs, which triggered a very negative reaction in me and my parents. I told her she chose to become a stay-at-home wife, but she explained that circumstances changed and she had to go back to work she left years ago to be able to provide for herself and my brother, and a carer is better qualified to care for my brother since she feels overwhelmed and exhausted. But I pointed out how a personal carer requires so much money, and that her new commitment of a job cannot be put before her husband. I told her it was a bad idea, but she argued that she is in this situation, not me, and she's trying to improve it while I'm just judging her from a distance. I told her she was wrong, since this is my brother we're talking about, and I help with the mortgage. So in response, I called her a neglectful, selfish, financially irresponsible wife for throwing money, my brother's money, away on a carer when it's unnecessary, and she is available, but she chose to go back to work. She acted shocked and lashed back at me, saying I shouldn't have called her those cruel things, and that I should show some empathy. I said I do have empathy for my brother and her too, but now that she's going to pay a carer using my brother's social security benefit, then I can't help but feel she's slowly checking out of her own marriage. She got highly offended that I questioned her love for my brother now that he's disabled, and left in a rush after calling me nuts and awful. My mom agreed partially with what I said, but told me I went out of line by calling her neglectful, especially since sister-in-law said she's wanting to go back to work to improve her living situation. But my dad is 100% on my side. Was I the a-hole, or was my reaction justified? Now for the judgment. Ooh boy, you're not going to enjoy this comment section. Yes, you're the a-hole. 1. Caregiver burnout is 100% real. Why not give your sister-in-law a break? And you care for your brother for a week, while she stays in a hotel. 2. She is probably trying to keep the marriage alive. Caring for somebody with disabilities is a lot like being a parent. It's not sexy. Breaking that dynamic by hiring a carer is probably the single best thing for their relationship. Not to mention increasing your brother's dignity. Did you ask what he thinks of this plan at any point? 3. Horrible as it sounds, permanently disabling injuries have a nasty tendency to reduce lifespan. Would you keep supporting your sister-in-law if your brother died? Does she know that? She needs a safety net, which means a job and a pension. Not your marriage, not your business, but to crack out. I actually really want an answer to number 3. If your brother passes away, will the financial support continue for the sister-in-law? If not, get the heck out of here. Also, what about if she hurts herself trying to move her husband? What will Opie do then? My sister messed up her back taking care of mom and she had help. What if she hurts the brother because she's not trained to care for serious disabilities? Hiring someone professionally trained seems like a great thing for the brother, as well as the sister-in-law, especially since the sister-in-law is willing to go back to work to help pay for the caregiver. Everyone is skimming over the fact that it's been 4 years. 4 years without help. God, this woman must be exhausted. Shame on you for judging her, Opie. You should be offering support instead of being such an A. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole on every level, Opie. How is your sister-in-law neglectful for being willing to pay for a medical professional to do something they're trained for? How is she neglectful for trying to add money to your brothers and her household? If you're so worried about them paying for your brother's care, I expect you or your mom to step up and take him in. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for stopping my ex from meeting our son and intentionally sabotaging my dad? My ex ended our engagement unexpectedly and I still don't know why. I was pregnant at a time and he completely disappeared. Nobody would tell me where he was despite our families being friends and having many mutual friends. Everyone kept claiming they had no idea where he was, which I know is a lie. Well, he decided to show his face again. My dad told me he would be coming to our house for dinner to discuss business, and that he wanted to meet our son. At first, I was furious, and I told him there was no way I would let him meet my son. But after many arguments, I pretended to give in. The day he was supposed to come, I took my son to a friend's house for the night. I wasn't planning to go back home for the dinner because I didn't want to see my ex, but my friend suggested I go so that I knew what was being said. I don't regret going, but it was a crap show. My dad was pissed at me for hiding my son from my ex, and my ex was pissed at my dad for not being able to deliver what he promised. My ex was also pissed at me and claimed I couldn't keep him away from his son. I told him pigs would fly before I let him near my son. After my ex left, my dad threatened to kick me out for sabotaging things for the family. And he kept calling me a stupid girl and asking me why I couldn't just listen to him for once. My brother sided with him too, which surprised me because he always takes my side normally. Am I the a-hole? Not stay hole and get away from these crazy people as soon as you can. My God, the fact that your family knew where he was and wouldn't tell you, and that your father let him into your house after he abandoned you with a baby. No. And to add, the way this reads to me is that the grandfather, brother, and ex are using the baby as some sort of bargaining chip. It's odd how the grandfather phrased it and why he's even involved. This should only be between the two parents of the child, not the grandfather and Opie's brother. I think something more is going on. This is exactly how it reads to me. Why did your dad promise to your ex he could see your son? It sounds like your ex has been out of your child's life for years and suddenly wants to see him. It is very concerning your dad promised your ex could see your son in exchange for something, it sounds like. This is fishy. Your child is not a token to be promised in exchange for something. Info, did your ex know you were pregnant before he left? How long has your ex been gone? Also, what is the relationship between your ex and dad? Yes, almost 3 years. I assumed none, but my dad does business with his dad. Update. Am I the a-hole for sterilizing myself against my partner's wishes? Original post. Okay, Reddit. I need some unbiased outside opinions because I truly feel like I'm going crazy dealing with this situation. I, 28 female, and my partner, 28 male, have 2 children together and have been married for 8 years. For those 8 years, I've either been on birth control when we were preventing pregnancy or tracking my cycle when we were trying to conceive. Adding this just to give the community the context that reproductive responsibility has always fallen on my shoulders. Recently, we discussed the possibility of being done with children since we have our 2, and the family really feels complete. My partner is in agreement that a 3rd child is off the table for him as well. So with that, I thought, great, I can bring up sterilization for either him or me. The reason I wanted this is because I've had every form of birth control before, and none of them ever left me feeling 100% okay. So I wanted to be done with birth control completely, since we both agreed we're done. It's been about 3 months since our talk about more children, so I brought up either him getting a vasectomy or me getting a salpingectomy, removing my fallopian tubes. What I thought would be a productive conversation completely blew up. He outright refused a vasectomy, and when I was okay with that and said I'd happily get a salpingectomy, he completely lost it on me, screaming about how he forbids it from happening and that he won't allow me to damage myself like that. I ended up just leaving the conversation and went to get our kids from school, but on the way, I called my gynecologist to schedule a consultation for the salpingectomy after making sure I won't need my spouse's approval. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole if I go through with the sterilization against my partner's wishes? Now for the top comments before reading the update. He forbids you? Big nope on that. Yeah, and laughing at him thinking that procedure will damage her more than childbearing. Ew. He just tipped his hand to how he really feels, and it's unsavory. You're not the a-hole, and I hate that you're questioning that. Your body, your choice. You're done with kids, and this is a logical step. Why does he feel this way so strongly on both of you? What has him so twisted? I honestly wish I knew. He seemed supportive of our friends, both men and women, who have had sterilization procedures. Not the a-hole. He is obviously carrying none of the burden. Being a mother is hard. Carrying a baby is hard. That being said, if you want to keep your marriage, talk it through with him before going through with it. If he is unwilling to help you avoid a pregnancy, he is being selfish. You may want to consider the future of that marriage. Is being off birth control and reclaiming your reproductive health more important than your marriage? He needs to think that through. And you need to think through if this was a knee-jerk reaction for him or an absolute disregard for you. Not an easy choice, but if you do go through with the procedure without him on board, your marriage will probably not survive it. That is true and definitely something I'll need to sit on. I'll be honest, calling my doctor was definitely a knee-jerk reaction for me because it felt like a disregard of my health and how I'm feeling on birth control, since he's seen the negative health effects it's had on me. Now for the first update the next day. Due to the support and advice I found on here, I managed to get the confidence and level headspace needed to try to have another conversation with my partner. After getting our children to their school and daycare for the day, I went to our local coffee shop to pick us up each a cup. I figured it could either be seen as a show of care or a peace offering. Once I got home, he was sitting at our island doom-scrolling through TikTok. I think we've all been there. I decided standing across from him would be a better choice, so I gave us our respective cups and asked if I could get his attention for a conversation. Well, what I hoped would be productive turned unproductive quickly, as he sighed with an eye roll and turned off his phone. I started by asking the big question of whether he wanted any more children. I even suggested he not think about what I said on the subject and just tell me his feelings about more children. With that, he answered a firm no and told me, as he said before, a third child is and will always be off the table. I then asked him if he had any fears or concerns about surgeries and medical procedures. He said no to this question as well. So I asked if he understood the procedure and what it entailed, and he said yes, he does, which is why he doesn't want me to get it done. In his words, I wouldn't be a woman if I got any part of my reproductive organs, what makes me a woman, removed, and he refuses to allow me down that path. I then followed up by asking about his getting a vasectomy, and he said it's pretty much the same thing for men, and he won't let anyone take away his manhood. The final question I managed to ask was, did he just expect me to be on birth control forever? And this man looked me in the face and said, "It's worked so well for you already, why change things up?" Guys, as I stated in my previous post, I am miserable and in debilitating pain with birth control. At the end of this, I just grabbed my coffee and went to sit on our porch, just trying to wrap my head around the conversation, while he sat in the house acting like nothing is wrong and we're just having a normal day off together. I'm trying to find a respectful way to ask this, but not coming up with anything, so I'm just going to ask, does your husband have any sort of intellectual impairment? The idea that you aren't a woman if you have surgery is so ridiculous that I can't believe a person with a 3-digit IQ would suggest that. Is there any possibility that he'd participate in couples counseling? As far as I'm aware, he's perfectly fine mentally. I even would have called him intelligent before these recent discussions. So he's already told you and shown you he doesn't care that you are in pain. What else can we tell you, honey? He doesn't care for you in the same way you care for him. I'm definitely realizing that makes me feel like every time he's taken care of me due to the birth control issues was just a lie. Why just not have sex with him? Problem is solved. And if you need to be satisfied by another human, find one that will fit your needs. Honestly, after the conversation, my attraction towards him died instantly. Didn't think that was possible. Yeah, stupidity and selfishness are very unattractive. Second update 2 days later. Hey Reddit, I just wanted to give a small update. I've been reading all of your comments on my last 2 posts. I appreciate all the advice and kind words, and sometimes even the unkind words, because they give me more to think about. So to start, I've been at my sister's with the children all weekend. I told my husband that she was feeling lonely and wanted us to stay over. He believed it, as we usually try to do this once a month. I called off work Monday so my sister and I could meet with the divorce lawyer who handled her divorce. I'm unsure if divorce will be the path I go down, but I want to get my ducks in a row before laying it all down for my husband. Also, I would like to answer some questions I saw a lot of in my last post. Yes, I still plan to go through with the sterilization. I absolutely don't want any more children, even if this ends in divorce. I plan to tell him it's getting done no matter what he says or believes. There will definitely be no sex with him anymore. I feel like I've lost all attraction and respect for him. The children don't know what's going on. They just think it's a fun time at Auntie's house. Condoms are a no. I exist because of a broken condom. I currently have an IUD, and while yes, it has been the best birth control I've been on, I still cannot function properly for a week out of the month due to pain, bleeding, and depressive episodes. No, he hasn't done anything like this before, which is what caught me so off guard with everything. Disagreements in our relationship have, up until now, been able to be discussed and compromised on. We grew up in a deeply Catholic community, but fell away from the church years ago. I plan to tell him it's getting done no matter what he says or believes. Stop right there. He will clean out your bank accounts. Get this done quietly and quickly. Do not under any circumstances warn this man. Do not dismiss the seriousness of this moment. This is how you get dead. Thankfully, our finances for the most part are separated. The only joint bank account we have is for bills and child expenses. Good, but let me reiterate. Do not warn him. Stay pleasant. Make neutral statements. Stay silent about your plans and intentions. Better he take his bewilderment, it came out of nowhere, and pray on it, journal on it, go to the priest, or best case scenario a therapist than you ending up another statistic. Take the danger seriously. You think you know him, but the fact is, a couple of years ago you knew this man was worth a lifetime commitment, so you know nothing about his future actions. That is true, and things I will take into consideration when making my plan, as well as things I will bring up with the lawyer. Third update, 8 days later. So I would like to start off by saying thank you to everyone for the amazing support I've received throughout the comments and messages. I know I haven't replied in a while, but I have been reading it all. Now to update everyone on the meeting with the lawyer. I was able to talk through my options, as well as what would legally be my husband's and what would legally be mine. I know my next steps would lead to divorce, and I feel confident in taking those steps if needed. After the meeting, I went back home and got settled back in. I ended up just doing normal tasks until the kids got home, and when my husband got home, I suggested getting the children to bed early so we could talk. So we did just that. He ended up starting the conversation by saying that if I plan to get the sterilization, then he wants a divorce, because he can't be with someone who doesn't share his same values. At that moment, I knew this was it for us, so I informed him of my consultation this week for the surgery and my intention to go through with it no matter what. There was honestly a lot of back and forth. I want to say it lasted for 3 hours before he said he's done and left the house. He's been staying at his mom's and hasn't really asked about the children staying with him. I have offered, per the suggestion of my lawyer, but to no avail. Currently, I'm getting a legal separation agreement written up to hopefully start the divorce process peacefully, or as peacefully as possible. The kids ask about him, but I just keep telling them he's helping grandma for a bit. I'm not sure how to tell them he won't be back. Thankfully, my therapist suggested a children's therapist to me, so I plan to set them up with an appointment soon. I'm honestly not too sure where everything went wrong with us. I always felt like we had true love, but maybe I was just naive to any of the other signs. Some advice: document everything because he's going to make this as ugly as possible. Remain calm and civil at all times, and no matter what, don't ever lose your temper. If you're going to meet with him, try to have someone come with you. I've already been keeping communications through text, but I'll definitely have someone with me if we meet. I know he plans to come this weekend to get some things, but my sister has been staying with me, so she'll be here. I am so sorry, OP. My heart hurts for you and your kids. He has clearly gone down some rabbit hole that has filled his head with trash ideas. Or he's betraying you in some other way, and this is his out without being the bad guy because he's saying it's a question of values. He's not totally wrong though. His values are that he should have control over his wife's body, while you don't believe you should have control over his. His values are disgusting, while yours are not. I would also start digging into things, OP. There is something driving this change. New friends? New media? Another woman who believes in trad wifing? Though I don't even think they think this dumb. None of this makes sense. How you're feeling is 100% valid. Was he surprised to hear you already met with a lawyer? Does his mom/family agree with what he is saying? Have you asked him where this new way of thinking came from? I wish you strength, peace, and healing as you go through this. All the best to you and your little ones. You'll be okay. I haven't mentioned meeting with a lawyer yet. I didn't want to throw any gas onto the already lit fire, especially with the kids home. His mom thinks we can still work it out, and his dad seems to be staying out of it from what I'm understanding. Now for the last update 2 weeks later. I know a few people have been messaging me as well as commenting on a few platforms, asking for an update on everything going on. To start off with the divorce, I'm finishing up with my lawyer to get the divorce petition written and served to my husband. That should happen before the end of this month. Last I heard from his side regarding the divorce, he got a lawyer for himself and once served wants all communications to go through our lawyers. I finished sorting through our asset division and making a custody plan, so my lawyer has that ready to be sent to his lawyer for any questions or concerns. I'm sure there will be a bit of back and forth until an agreement is met. Next, an update about the children. They now know we are separating and going through a divorce. While initially, they were very upset with the news, things have kind of settled and become accepted. They are in therapy individually and also with us as a family, so I'm hoping that continues to help them. My husband has been having them about 1 day a week, usually on Saturdays during the day, as he expresses not being able to handle them alone at night. I keep him in the loop about therapy, even offering for him to come if he is willing, which so far has been a no for the few sessions we've had. I also make sure he knows that he is welcome to have the children more than just 1 day a week. I'm hoping he comes around to co-parenting a bit better, because I know the kids do miss him. I try to communicate with him about what's happening in the kids' lives, such as school and extracurriculars, but he keeps pushing me to communicate through his mom. So far, I've been sending them both similar messages, so there is proof I'm communicating with him directly, as well as through his preferred method. Lastly, my surgery. My consultation went amazingly, and my surgery is scheduled for the end of June. My mom and sister will be with me through the surgery and healing process. I'm very thankful for them. My gynecologist removed my IUD about a week ago, and honestly, I've been feeling so much better. As each day passes, I feel like I'm really coming back to myself. I'm just waiting for that first period to see if it'll be like they usually are, or if I'm back to normal. I am getting a full workup in about 2 weeks. My doctor wants my hormones, vitamins, and everything checked, as well as doing a few ultrasounds to check everything. So that's really all I have going on. Nothing exciting or groundbreaking, just a sad start to a divorce and medical stuff. I am so laughing that he can only handle them for a day. If I knew him, I would totally tell him this is why she didn't want to have any more kiddos. You can't handle your fair share of the work. I'm sorry and so glad you found a doctor who would do this for you. I asked for this to be done with both my C-sections and was denied. Married someone who took the leap so I didn't have to. Crazy they let him do it, but not me. That is honestly wild they denied you. I'm sure it wouldn't have taken them much effort to do it during the C-section. He's mad because you're getting sterilized, but the moron can't handle his kids overnight? Here's the real deal. Somewhere deep in his mind, he thinks that now that you're getting sterilized, you're gonna be going out all the time having sex and not worrying about pregnancy. And that's why he's gonna saddle you with those kids 7 days a week, so you never get a chance to date again. Force him to take his children every weekend, or at least every other weekend overnight. I honestly thought about it, because I know the kids deserve time with him, but I'm worried that it'll just do more harm than good to them. If he can't handle them, I know his mom is there, but I don't want him to make it seem like they're not worth his time when they're already going through so much. Talk to his mom about it and see if she'll slap some sense into his idiot head. Your poor kids. It's definitely been mentioned. I know she doesn't want to rock the boat too much, but has offered to have them for some sleepovers once summer starts if they want. I will encourage them to go to spend the time with family. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take care of my husband's medical equipment? So my husband, 42 male, and I, 41 female, are having a disagreement. Here's the situation. He uses a CPAP machine at night. He's had it for 15 years and never puts it away in the morning. He has decided that it's my responsibility to take care of it and prevent the children or our pets from touching it. He says it's unreasonable for him to put it away every morning, even though there are many, many things the kids and I use and put away every single day. He insists that other things of his be left where it's convenient for him, even if it makes life harder for the rest of us. Example, he will leave his shoes under the kitchen table and tells me that I should just not clean the floor there at all so his shoes don't get moved. He goes to great lengths to make life easier for himself, even if that means putting more difficulty on me and our children. Last night, our cat got into our bedroom and chewed on the hose for his CPAP. I didn't know it until we went to bed, and my husband freaked out. He demanded to know why I wasn't watching his CPAP and why I had let it get ruined. Then he decided he wants to lock me and the kids out of our bedroom when he leaves for work every morning. I said absolutely not. Our second bathroom is only accessible through the bedroom, and all my own things are in the bedroom. That would leave me without access to any of my things during the day, unless I cleared everything out of my room and the second bathroom, which is also where I keep my makeup and other personal items, which to me seems totally unreasonable. I told him he should put away his CPAP every morning. He says that it's unreasonable for him to remember to do such an annoying task and that he shouldn't have to put anything he owns away. I really feel like he should be responsible for his own things and that it is unreasonable for him to lock me out of my own room. So, am I the a-hole? Don't CPAPs need to be dry and cleaned every day? Otherwise, they grow bacteria and can kill you? My significant other uses one. He takes care of it solely. At night when he's setting it back up before I go to bed, I go to sleep before him. He will always turn down my side of the bed so I can climb right in. Yes, it's supposed to be. However, he only cleans it every few months when he replaces the hose. So, this isn't just about the CPAP. You've been his maid for 15 years. He doesn't have to put anything away. He doesn't have to take care of his stuff. He doesn't care if he makes it more difficult for you to clean the floor, and won't even put his freaking shoes away? Sorry, but this isn't okay. I would have chewed that CPAP machine myself.
Update. Am I the a-hole for losing it and screaming at my girlfriend to get out of my house after what her stepbrother did? Original post. My girlfriend was over at my place 2 days ago. We're both 20. She has a stepbrother who's 23. Before this, I'd only met him a few times, and he seemed like a regular dude. She asked if it was okay for him to come over for a couple of hours, and I said why not. He said he would bring booze and pizza, and since my parents were away visiting relatives for the weekend, I figured we could hang out. I have a little sister who's 15. She stayed in her room the entire time. We were all a bit tipsy, and my girlfriend's stepbrother asked if he could use the bathroom. I pointed him to the one down the hall. My girlfriend and I were preoccupied and didn't realize how much time had passed until we heard raised voices upstairs. We immediately went to check what was going on and found my sister crying. Apparently, instead of using the bathroom, he went upstairs. My sister's door was ajar, and he walked into her room. She was shocked and tried to stay calm, but he wouldn't leave. He started trying to chat her up. When she told him to get out, he closed the door behind him instead, which made her panic. She tried to get past him to open the door and he grabbed her, but she managed to open it. By the time I got upstairs, he had backed off. I was furious. There was a lot of yelling and accusations. We were all drunk except for my sister. After hearing her side, I confronted him. He was stuttering and trying to deflect. I'm pretty sure I threatened violence at some point. My girlfriend tried to be the mediator. She said I needed to calm down and couldn't fly off the handle based solely on my sister's word. But I was there. I saw my sister crying and panicking. I know her, and I know she wouldn't lie about something like this. Why would she? I told her stepbrother to get out of my house. My girlfriend kept saying we could sort this out and have a proper conversation, but I didn't see what there was to discuss. Then she said, "What if your sister is lying right in front of my sister?" I asked her what would make her think that, and she said she's a kid and could be making it up for attention. That's when I lost it. I told her to get the heck out. She's been calling me ever since, but I ignored her. The dust has settled a bit. I went over everything again with my sister, and she promised me it happened exactly as she told me. She said she was scared he was going to essay her. This morning, my girlfriend texted me saying I shouldn't have raised my voice and that I scared her. I thought about apologizing, but she still hasn't said a word about apologizing to my sister or addressing her stepbrother's actions. When I asked about him, her response was that there's no hard proof. He ended up doing nothing and I should drop it. She claims she'll deal with him. I don't know if I'm the a-hole for how I handled this. Maybe if cooler heads had prevailed, the silent treatment wouldn't have happened, and we could have talked things through. I love her and don't want this to be the end, but I need advice on what to do moving forward. Now for the top comments. I'm sorry, but your girlfriend is just as trashy as her freaking pedo brother. Yep, she's just as gross as that predator for defending him. Not the a-hole. Protect your sister, and maybe have a big long talk with girlfriend. If she doesn't understand, then reevaluate your relationship. I'm definitely not losing sleep over the way I treated a stepbrother. I think I should have done worse and could have done worse. But I just wanted him out of the house. I'm mad because, over these 2 days, all her texts have been about how she felt and how I could have handled this better. She keeps saying she's never seen this side of me, which is all true, but when I messaged her back to ask about her brother, her response was effectively, "Drop it." I can't believe she's being so callous about this. Hey girlfriend, this isn't about you and your feelings. Your adult, drunk stepbrother went into the bedroom of my underage teenage sister, shut the door behind him, and would not leave. The best thing I could do was make him leave. Rather than being appalled and apologetic, you had the audacity to question whether my sister was being honest, right in front of her, at which point I lost my temper. How could you accuse her of lying while seeing how upset she was? Even if you had doubts, that wasn't even vaguely the time or place. Since this happened, the only person you've cared about is yourself. You want an apology for my being angry and shouting, but not once have you apologized or even asked about my sister. Again, this isn't about you. And I don't think this is going to work out since I want to protect my underage sister, and you want to protect your feelings and your potential predator of a stepbrother. Am I sorry I raised my voice at you? Yes, but if every situation warranted it, it was this one. And no, you've never seen me like this because I've never been in a position where a grown man shut himself in my sister's bedroom and made her afraid she was going to be essayed. Now we're done, and there's nothing left to say. That's what I said to her. She's a shitbag, and I'd bet he's done this crap before. Now for the update. First off, thanks to everyone who commented on my previous post. I tried to read as many comments as I could, and I got some great advice. My girlfriend asked me yesterday if we could talk in person. I agreed, and we met at a public park. She showed up already looking on the verge of tears. User Buttered Crumpet09, your comment was spot on. I basically said it word for word to her. Lol. She let me speak and was silent for a long time, before she said she was sorry for the way she had reacted. She told me she had been drunk, panicked, and hadn't been thinking clearly, trying to stop it from becoming a fight. We discussed her stepbrother. She told me he has a weird streak and acts oddly sometimes. She said he genuinely could have made a mistake and didn't mean any harm. I asked why he went upstairs in the first place and why he shut himself in with my sister after realizing he was in the wrong room. No answer. I asked how she could be so sure he had no perverted intentions. Again, no answer. Some of you suggested that the stepbrother might have a history or even done something to her. I didn't outright say it, but I was implying it. I kept asking, what if he had gone further? What if he's assaulted someone before and you don't know about it? I asked if there had been incidents like this before, and how she could possibly downplay what happened. She didn't respond. By that point, she was too choked up to speak properly, so I don't think she could have answered even if she wanted to. Anyway, I wasn't there to listen to excuses or justifications, and I told her that. She asked me if we were over, and I said the only way we could move forward was if she apologized to my little sister and then cut all contact with her stepbrother. I don't see a scenario where my sister feels comfortable around him again. She told me she didn't want to lose me, but she couldn't do what I asked. So I told her yes, we're done. My parents came back this morning. Like I said, they had been out of town visiting relatives. I hadn't told them about this over the phone. I just said an incident had happened and I would explain when they got back. My sister asked me to speak to them on her behalf, so I told them everything. My dad gave me a lot of grief, rightfully so. He says he wants to speak to my ex's parents about this and let them know what their son did. The police here are about as useful as tits on a bull, and we discussed it, and we're going to file a report, auto de noticia, anyway. I highly doubt it will go anywhere, but at least it will be on record. My sister is doing better. She was really shaken up and asked if she could sleep in my parents' room or mine for a bit. We'll probably arrange a therapy or counseling session for her and let her decide if she wants to continue. I'm going to take her bowling and then get food, just the two of us, so I can also apologize. I feel upset and guilty, honestly. I trusted my ex, and my naivety put my little sister in danger. I've always thought I was a responsible person, and this happening when I was supposed to be in charge is messing me up. I'm mad at myself, not gonna lie, but we move on. My favorite comments to read were the ones telling me what to do to the stepbrother. I don't ever want to see his face again, but in case I do, someone let me know if you have a wood chipper lying around. Thanks again, everybody. Edit. People have asked if I can run a background check or something. I don't think it's legal for a civilian to do that in my country, Portugal, and I don't know if I can request one, but I'll see. Also, to everybody commenting about underage drinking, I was so confused. That's not a problem here, lol. I won't be incriminating myself for anything by filing a report, so don't worry. I was waiting for this update. Good on you, mate. I still think the creep did something to your ex, which is why she kept deflecting and answering vaguely, saying he acts odd sometimes. Even if he did, it's not your responsibility now though. Your poor baby sister. Hopefully she heals quickly from this. Most people seem to think so. I will say my ex's mother has been with her stepdad for nearly 6 years. She never liked discussing her family and had only recently introduced me to all of them. She never gave any indication of a bad relationship between her and her stepdad/brother. I would have never guessed in a million years if abuse or assault was happening. I hope that's not the case, because that would be seriously messed up. Personally, I don't think it did her something such as abuse or assault, but something more insidious, like grooming. That would explain why she's so vague about him. She told me he genuinely could have made a mistake and didn't mean any harm. Ah yes, because going into a 15-year-old's room, stopping them exiting, and closing the door is totally a mistake, and totally harmless actions. Your ex better not complain. Say he made a mistake and didn't mean any harm if/when he does it again to another 15-year-old, and their brother ends up shooting him. That's what is so scary about it. Opie directed him to the downstairs bathroom and went upstairs anyway, while the ex-girlfriend distracted Opie. Anyone with any manners would wait a bit if someone is in a bathroom to give them time for their business. I shudder to think what would have happened if the stepbrother had managed to get the sister to be quiet or get a hand over her mouth. I have trouble believing the ex-girlfriend wasn't in on it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for saying my brother shouldn't have brought his pregnant girlfriend to my wedding and for refusing to let her be in my wedding photos? I got married last weekend, and I'm still so angry at what my brother did. He took all the attention away from me and my husband. Normally, I don't feel the need to be the center of attention, but this was my freaking wedding day. I feel like it's all anyone was talking about during the wedding, and now it's the main thing anyone remembers from the entire event. It was a destination wedding within the US, so nothing too crazy. We kept a guest list to our families, immediate and extended, as well as our closest friends. My parents paid for our immediate family to arrive about 5 days ahead of time. So it was my parents, my sister, and me initially, with my brother arriving a few days later. We knew my brother was bringing a date, no big deal. He said he was just bringing a girl from school. He didn't even call her his girlfriend officially. My parents showed up at the airport to pick my brother up, and there he was, hand in hand with an obviously pregnant girl that none of us had ever met. My parents were understandably taken aback. My brother greeted them like everything was normal, according to my mom, and my parents didn't know what to say. Then he just said, "Surprise!" My poor mom almost fainted, and my dad allegedly yelled out, "What the heck have you done?" He introduced us to this girl, but didn't clarify if she was his girlfriend or provide much information at all. It was very weird. It was obvious she was uncomfortable. She said she wasn't feeling well and needed to go lay down after the flight. So at dinner, it was just our family as she rested. We awkwardly sat around a table eating, barely saying a word. Finally, my mom asked brother's name. "Is that your baby?" By then, we all assumed it was, but my mom needed confirmation. The lack of explanation or details from him was just odd. He admitted it's technically not his baby, but he's in love with her and intends to be a father to the baby anyway. The actual father isn't involved and doesn't want to be, and if they get married, he can adopt the baby and be the legal father. She's living with him and none of us knew this either. He's been her main support person throughout the pregnancy. She's 28 weeks, well, 29 now since this was over a week ago. This was worse than what we had all assumed. He is so in love with her that he's willing to take on the responsibility of her child and marry her, yet we'd never even heard of her. He said he'd mentioned her quite a few times. Well, maybe he'd mentioned her name in passing, not to me, maybe to my parents, but never said she was his girlfriend or pregnant. None of us understood. He's 21, about to graduate college, planning to enter law school, and he is an attractive guy. Why would he do this? My parents, especially my mom, were stressed out about it all weekend long, throughout my entire wedding weekend. It was like my wedding became an afterthought. All my parents could talk about was how to make my brother change his mind about this girl. Then when the wedding photographer was taking family pictures, he wanted her in them. That was really the breaking point for me. She isn't family. None of us knew about their relationship, and we'd met her only 2 days prior. She shouldn't be in our official family pictures for my wedding. It's like, forget the bride and groom. Look at this random, heavily pregnant woman hitching herself to my brother. No, I told him no. I refused to let her be in the photos. My mom made me allow her to be in one picture, but said we don't have to buy that one or display it anywhere. It just made my blood boil. Anyway, I don't think he should have brought her. There was no reason to bring her to my wedding, especially without warning. I mean, it's all my side of the family could talk about, and he was hesitant to even correct them about it not being his baby. He said that's because it was awkward for her to have to explain the full scenario to everyone, so he just let people think what they wanted. Because he wouldn't say anything, everyone was gossiping and wondering about it the whole time. I'm posting this because I'm upset that several friends, and even my own mom, are telling me I'm overreacting and just need to accept it. When I told a group of my coworkers about it after the fact, they weren't at the wedding. They agreed with me and thought what my brother did was absolutely insane and rude. Now for the comments. I think he knew in a wedding setting that attention would be divided. Your wedding was his meat shield. Interesting take, and something I hadn't thought of. He was purposely trying to take attention away from me at my wedding. He just wanted some of the attention taken off of him and his poor decisions? Still selfish. Yeah, your feelings are valid, and you haven't overreacted or anything. Not the a-hole. What he did was an a-hole move, though he probably didn't think it through enough to realize all the implications of his actions. He absolutely shouldn't have dropped that bomb at your wedding. or any wedding. I don't think he did it to be malicious. I don't think he thought about what he was doing to me. He also hasn't apologized though. If after being told something you did was rude and hurtful, at least own up to it. He knew exactly what he was doing. Such an a-hole move on his part. What did he think would happen? He couldn't let you have the attention on your wedding day? Is he that spoiled? Not the a-hole. He's the youngest child. He definitely gets away with more than my sister and I ever could. Anything he does usually gets forgiven.